Hi there, welcome to the channel. I'm Beth, and this week I wanted to take a little time to draft a new shoe pattern for Blythe. I've made little leather boots before that I designed to fit the jointed Blythe body, which also work well on the original body, but I wanted to also make some little Mary Jane style shoes that I might use with some upcoming custom Blythes. Before I start, I made a video that I'll link in the description box about how to DIY your own shoe lasts, so check that out if you want to make your own. I've recently had these ones 3D printed, which match the size of the jointed Blythe body, but with an extra rounded toe. This will help to shape the toe of the shoes later on. I'm tracing round the last and measuring the circumference too. Then, trying to draw a kind of J-shaped outline for my shoe pattern, whilst keeping a little seam allowance. I sketch in the features I want to include in this shoe. The front opening, a little strap to wrap around the buckle, the back of the shoe, and a longer strap all in one piece. It looks roughly the right size, so I cut it out and hold it onto the last. I think it looks a bit too small and that the angle on the strap isn't right. It needs to be tilted to the front of the shoe more. For version 2, I add on more seam allowance and angle the strap out more. Oh, okay, now the strap looks better, but the toe of the shoe looks too big. I refine some shapes for version 3 and also plot out stitching holes. They're evenly spaced and I count 24 total. So now I need a sole to match this. I draw around the foot again and add a little extra space, then try to evenly plot out stitching holes. I need there to be 23 because 2 holes from the shoe upper will overlap. This one gave me 24 holes, so I try again. A slightly smaller outline gives me 22 holes, so I try again. Finally, I get the 23 holes I need. The hole spacing needs to match the upper, so I couldn't just make some gaps bigger or smaller. Here's where the overlap will happen. I had some very thin scrap leather that I make a mock-up with. I slipped on a really tiny buckle and stitched one shoe together. The fit looks pretty good, though the leather should be thicker to hold its shape. Here's my pattern iterations. Things rarely turn out just right first time. So I set about making a pair of shoes with this pattern. I stumbled across these hole-punching pliers and I love them for this process. I saw them on both Amazon and AliExpress. I transfer my outlines and stitching holes to my leather scraps. All my leather is recycled from sofa sample books. Once each shoe has a left and right, upper and sole, we can sew. An optional step if your leather is quite fluffy on the underside is to use a burnishing cream to smooth it. You can apply it just to the edges or slap it on all over. I do recommend dampening the leather upper and gently shaping and stretching out the seam allowance at the heel and the toe. The beauty of working with real leather is that it's malleable when wet and holds that shape once dry. For the first shoe, I tried stitching the upper together before attaching it to the sole, This didn't really make it easier, so I didn't do that again later. I then tried to slip on the tiny buckle. This thicker leather really didn't want to fit through, so I decided it would be better to stitch on that buckle to reduce bulk and so that only the upper strap needs to fit through it. There, that's going to be more secure than what I originally planned anyway. Now it's time to attach these pieces by matching up the stitching holes. You'll need 2 needles and a strong thread. I like to cut a piece about the length of my forearm. Thread one end and use the needle tip to pierce the thread about 3 or 4 centimeters from the end. Then gently slide the thread over the needle like this, to ensure the needle doesn't drop off. Repeat for the other needle and end of the thread, so you end up with a needle at each end. On the pattern, I've marked which hole on the sole should match the overlapping upper ends. I mark this hole on each sole and align it with the upper. I make 1 stitch with the thread, pulling it so that the thread is evenly spaced, with the stitch in the middle. This sewing technique is called saddle stitch, and has the thread crisscross as you sew, giving a strong stitch and looking the same on the top and the bottom. I swap needles as I sew, taking the thread up and down with one needle, then up and down with the next needle. I pull on the threads as I go, keeping the tension tight. I think you can see clearly in this clip how that stitch works. When I get round to the end, I make sure the overlap is stitched properly too. I end up with the 2 thread tails, both on the underside, coming from 2 different holes. I snip the thread, leaving enough length to securely double knot the ends. You can use a lighter if you want to burn and stick that knot. I test the fit of my shoe last in the shoe. It's snug, but that's a great fit. It's not done yet though. I'll be gluing on another sole piece and refining the edges. I finish sewing the second shoe and then run them both under the tap for a minute to get the leather damp. I put both shoes on the 2 lasts and leave them overnight to dry out. Once dry, they should hold that nice rounded toe shape. The next day, I've actually put together another pair of shoes and left them to dry too. I'm going to cut the outer sole pieces, so I create a new template piece ever so slightly smaller than the original sole piece, so that I can sand and burnish the existing outline to match this one. I cut these from another scrap of leather and will glue them on, shiny side out. Here you see they're all glued on. I used fabric glue for that. You'll want to use a little piece of sandpaper to remove the excess seam allowance and to neaten up this outer edge. I like to speed things up where possible, so I bought these little sanding bits from Amazon for my rotary tool. This will make short work of it, but it will be messy. I wear glasses and a mask. Here both pairs are tidied up, and I will use that burnishing gum again to seal and then burnish those edges. I don't have a proper burnisher, so again I use my rotary tool to speed things up. I put this little wooden cotton reel on a sanding drum bit and use that instead. First I apply the gum, letting it dry nearly completely. Then I'll press the wooden reel against the edges all round as it spins on the rotary tool. This will polish and harden the edges. I'm careful to hold on tight as I have launched tiny shoes across the room before. Now that is the finishing touch. If you don't want to invest in the gum, I found mine for about £8 on Amazon. You could try slicking the edges with PVA glue instead. I'm not sure if it'll get quite the same effect, but it might be worth a try. I want to thank my patrons for their extra support and welcome our newest member, Bunny. They've been seeing all the goodies I bought while I was away on holiday in Berlin. I had a great time. They will also be the first ones to get this new pattern, and they'll be getting it for free. I'm still very busy with BlytheCon prep, but I will be adding more and more goodies to the secret Patreon shop. So check out the link in the description if you want to know more. I will be adding this pattern to my website for everyone to download and try out as well. You'll find all the links in the description box below. I hope you'll have fun making your own tiny shoes, and thank you all for watching. Please leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought of these cute shoes. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!